Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I hardly ever talk about my husband on here, but today I want to start by talking about him for a minute because my husband is a business owner, and as a business owner usually does, he is always on YouTube watching videos of other really successful entrepreneurs and listening to their business advice and life advice. So one key lesson that he's learned from almost every single video that he's ever watched, and he says this all the time, is that all these guys say we need to read more self-help books. So I'm a reader. I love reading. I love holding a book in my hand. So I decided, why not? It can't hurt. And I'm not actually new to the self-help industry, because back in 2015 or 2016 I started listening to Napoleon Hill, and specifically his lectures on YouTube that are from like 1954 or something. And back then those video lectures and his books and his work in general transformed my life completely. And I'm not actually going to talk about Napoleon Hill today. I'm not going to get into it too much on here because I feel like he and his work and his impact on my life deserves a special dedicated video. But I'm telling you this just to let you know that I have been a consumer of this industry for many years. But I started reading the self-help books again last year, and I went through quite a few of them. And I can tell you that most of the ones that I read last year are complete shit. Like, they are not good. I barely got through many of them. Some of them I just could not keep going. I just didn't finish reading. But some are not that bad. Some are truly life-changing, mindset-changing, and mind expanding. And those are the ones I want to talk about in today's video. So here are my top 4 self-help books. And actually I didn't read all of them last year. One of them I read a few years ago, but I have been I've read it several times since then. But today I want to start with the best find of last year. I actually bought this last year and read it this year, I think. I don't quite remember the dates exactly, but anyway, it's The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. So this book is written by Steven Pressfield, who I think originally is a movie writer who also writes really good books. And I think he wrote this book with other writers in mind, but this book is perfect for anyone who wants to achieve anything special in their life. I think it's perfect for musicians, artists, entrepreneurs, video creators like myself. It's perfect for anyone and everyone. So in this book, Pressfield writes about the enemy, which he calls resistance with capital R. So what is resistance? Resistance is anything and everything that stops us from performing or working on our art. It's pretty much the bane of all creativity that slowly creeps into our habit systems and disguises itself as a reasonable excuse. We never question it ever. We usually just accept it blindly, and then we slowly become accustomed to having it in our life because it just becomes the norm. Here are some examples of resistance from his book. The first one is irregular, sporadic practice, no goals or structure. I can only practice if I'm inspired. If you think your work sucks, which is me every single day. If you can't practice when you are sad or insecure. And by practice, I mean work on your art, whatever that is. Fear of failure and embarrassment. Or, this is my favorite because I still do this, not wanting to share your work with anyone else. So none of my family members actually know I have this channel. And the key to fighting this evil force is actually quite simple. It's simply doing the work. Gotta show up and do the work every single day. Anyway, just read the book. I highly recommend it. It's very inspirational, and it made me feel like I am not alone. Now I have confirmation that everyone else goes through this, and if they could overcome it, so can I. Okay, favorite book number 2 of last year, The Courage to be Disliked. So I actually talked about this book in my 23 lessons from 2023. And I said there that this book is the one book that single-handedly improved my relationship with both of my parents pretty much overnight. Now, I guess it's important to clarify that I did go through years of therapy leading up to it, so that could have helped as well. But this book, I feel like, gave me that push that I needed. And just to be clear also, not that my relationship with my parents was terrible. It wasn't. We talked, we had regular conversations, we were pretty good, but it just felt like it required so much effort from my end to not get too emotional, to not get overly upset with my parents. And this book helped make my relationship with them a lot more effortless, a lot more organic and natural. So the main idea around this book is the world is simple and life is also really simple. And none of us really live in an objective world. We all live in a subjective world, which we all give meaning to. And if your life is complicated, it's not because the world is bad, it's because you make it complicated. That is the meaning you give your life. So the main premise here is that it's not about how the world is, it's about how you are. So it kind of forces you to take a long, good look at yourself in the mirror before you start blaming everyone else for everything that's wrong in your life. And the author uses Adlerian, I think I'm pronouncing it properly, maybe not, but he uses Adlerian psychology to explain a lot of his ideas. In Adlerian psychology, we do not focus on the past causes. So we try not to look at life as cause and effect, but rather we focus on future goals. And we determine our own life according to the meaning we give to those past life experiences. So it's the opposite of the victimhood mentality. In fact, I feel like anyone who lives in a victimhood mentality will probably get very offended by this book. But if you are at any point in your life where you just want change and you're willing to do whatever you need to do to get there, then I think this book may be just for you. Okay, book number 3, The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. Okay, this may seem counterintuitive because my other suggestions are like, do the work and take responsibility and blah, blah, blah. But it really isn't that contradictory because all of these books essentially show you how to live a better life and how to be a happier person. So they have that in common. But this particular book is about serendipity. It's about what some people may call fate, but mostly about allowing life happen without interfering or trying to direct it. And why this book was so beneficial and important to me is because I used to be, I think I still a little bit am like this, but to my core, I am a control freak. And I used to be that person who would get upset even about the slightest plans changing. Like if my husband and I have a plan to go to this coffee shop and not this one, and then we drive there and they're closed, God help us all. I think I was definitely a slave of my own ego and I needed to work on that, and this book really helped me look at it from a different angle. So essentially, The Surrender Experiment is about the author Michael Singer, about his crazy, unexpected life. And early on in the book, you'll read that he realizes that there's this voice in your head that is separate from you, and it tells you about its own little preferences, and that voice essentially is your ego. And he tries to silence that voice with years of disciplined meditations, only to find out that it's pretty much impossible to silence it altogether. So instead he surrenders, but not in like a passive way that he kind of lets his ego take over, not like that at all. He surrenders to life. He lets his voice say whatever it wants to say, but then he allows life to happen as it does. And as a result of that, not only does he find inner peace, but also tremendous success. It's very interesting. I don't know if my explanation is giving it any justice at all. It has a lot of crazy life stories, and talking about it is making me want to read it again. So I would highly recommend it to anyone and everyone who wants to bring a little bit more spirituality in their life. Okay, and book number 4 is the book that I actually didn't read last year, but I have been reading it for many, many years, and I don't have a physical copy. I listened to the audio version of it, and it's called Radical Forgiveness. This book is the ultimate stop being a victim book. And the reason why I included this book in today's list is because we are talking about self-help books, and anyone who is searching for a good self-help book definitely doesn't want their life to stay the same. I know that you guys are craving change and newness in your life, and that's usually the reason why I read these books. And I genuinely feel that you can't really change your life unless you let go of that heavy baggage that you carry with you all your life. And so this is where this book comes in. So the author of this book presents an idea that a negative event can just be seen as an event. You don't have to label it as good or bad because these labels are irrelevant in understanding the lessons our soul desires to learn. Considering the subject matter, I found this book actually very easy to read and easy to comprehend. The book is written in a way that is very clear and very concise. Radical forgiveness naturally lends itself to the more spiritual, the more philosophical ones, the more open-minded ones among us, but it can serve as an excellent resource for anyone who is seeking for new ideas on how to release emotional burdens and ultimately achieve inner peace. I love that book. Every time I feel like I need to read it, I go back and read it again. It's one of the most eye-opening books that I think I'm recommending today. So check it out. You may just like it. All right, guys, so this is it for me today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Today we talked about 4 self-help books that are not total shit, because I promise you I've read so many of them that are. I'm sorry to all the authors. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to like this video and consider subscribing to my channel if you guys find this kind of content interesting. I hope I'll see you guys next time. Bye.